So hi friends, my name is Charudutt Malhara and I just completed my Masters in Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Tuljapur campus. And today we'll be talking about a detailed application form that you have to fill for your personal interview. So let's start the video. Before we start, I just want to tell you why this detailed application form is so important. Firstly, because it is the first impression that that the interviewer will have about you, of you. This is the before you get into the room, before you go in for the interview. I mean, before your interview starts, maybe it's online. It's online, but the interview panel, they'll go through your detailed application form. They'll know, okay, this guy has this experience, this guy has this interest, and that is the reason why it is very important. For a lot of people, for me, even for me, my interview was completely based on this detailed application form. What I had written, it revolved around it. So it is very important, and I would suggest that you put in a lot of efforts in writing all the answers in this detailed application form. So let's begin with this form. Step by step, I'll tell you all the answers, like how you need to prepare for all the answers. So the first part is quite simple. This is the form that I could find online for 2017-18, but I think most of the times it is the same. There won't be much difference. There might be some here and there small difference, but most of the time it's the same. So this is the first page that you need to fill in the basic details. Sorry, excuse me. So the first the details are like name and your last name, your first name and last name, your registration number, the program that you selected. So mostly for every course you have to fill a different form. So suppose people might have applied for 2 or 3 courses, so for every course you have to fill a different form. The date of birth, marital status, whether you're married, single, you just need to this is basic. I don't think you need any help in this, but your age and state of domicile. So original domicile, so you need to have documents for this if they ask you to produce. So make sure there's no goalwal in this section. So now this is something which is a little more important than the first section. This states about the education that you have done, your qualification. So it starts with the 10th. Which board were you part of? Maybe CBSE or ICSE or state boards, whatever, you need to write it down here. Then from which school you did, which year, 2017 to 2018, year of passing 2018. For example, if you did in 2018, name of the major subjects that you studied, you need to write those. Usually in CBSE there are 5 subjects, so you could just write the major subject that you studied and the total marks. If it's CGPA, write CGPA. If you have total marks, write it there. Okay, then this is higher education studies. So 11th and 12th standard, you need to write both the details. So which state, which educational board, then the name of the school or the educational university, then the years, like from 2013 to 14, 14 to 15, and the year you passed. So you need to write 11th you passed in 14, 12th you passed in 15, then the major subjects and the total marks. Same way you have to write for graduation, first year what all you did, second year, third year, fourth year, and post graduation if you have done anything, and if you have done an additional diploma or anything else, you could write the information here. So one tip here that I would want to give you is in the major subject studied, obviously they're not asking for all the subjects, they're asking only for the major subjects. So what you would do is for graduation, for example, I did BCom, and for example, if I'm not very good at accounts, so what I'll do is, and I'm very good at banking and finance and maybe costing and taxation. So what I'll do is I'll write taxation, I'll write costing, I'll write finance, I'll write HR. Suppose I'm good at HR also, so I'll write only those few major subjects, because they might ask you questions on that. So rather than writing accounts and then they'll ask me questions about, okay, tell me about this, tell me golden rules or anything, and I may not be able to answer them. So better is you try to write answers, you try to only highlight your strengths, your area of interest, so that your interview goes well. Okay, so that's all for this page. The next one is period unaccounted. Okay, this is another important question from okay, so this question means is, after you completed your 10th, till the time you have applied to this form, if you have taken any gaps, or if you have taken if there was some period which was unaccounted, for example, you did 10th, then you took gap, then you did 11th, 12th, then you took gap, or you did graduation and then you had a gap. So you need to write information at what you did during that period, or else what was the reason that you had taken the gap. For example, after graduation, a lot of people study for prepare for UPSC, so you could write for 1 year. Maybe you completed your graduation in 2017, so till 18 or 19 you were preparing for UPSC, and after that you started preparing for TISS. So you could write how was the time spent. The time was spent in preparing for UPSC, or if you were if there were some personal reasons, you could write down those personal reasons. So I don't think that's very difficult, but make sure that whatever you write is correct, not only in this form, not only in this question, but throughout the DAF application. And next one is, how have you appeared for any examination conducted by any other university or institute? So you could it would be great if you have written, it's a great thing to show, because don't try to hide. It also shows that if in case you don't get into TISS, so you have a plan B or a plan C ready with you. So that is something which will show that this guy is, or this girl is planned, and she has she's organized, and she has her strategies ready. So that is a good way of showing it to the people, to the panelists. Now there's a family background. Only obviously you need to write about the alive people. If your father, mother, name of them, educational qualification, their occupation, teacher, job, whatever they do. If they're housewife, you can write that, monthly income, whatever it is. And as additional information, if you want to give some additional information, like suppose if your mom or your dad or someone works in social sector or something, if you think that that is relevant to your course or relevant to your education, then you could write it here. Then why are you interested in pursuing this course? This is one of the most important. Actually, there are only two important questions according to me in this section, and one of them is this: why are you interested in pursuing this course? So this is going to be a specific answer that only you will be able to prepare, but I'll just give you a few tips and how you could frame the answer. Firstly, you could talk about your strengths. You could talk about what areas you are good at and what do you like doing. So in case, if suppose you say, I like working for people, I like helping people, I like working for the social rural areas, I want to work for them, and that is the reason why I'm applying for rural development, then you could say in that way. Or else for me, it was social entrepreneurship. I thought that I want to work for myself, I don't want to do any job, I also want to earn money, at the same time I want to use my entrepreneurial skills. I come from Marwadi background, so I could use my business banyawala skills with the social the amalgamation of both. So that is why I want to do social entrepreneurship. Also, why are you interested in pursuing this course? You could also say that this is TISS, and this you could talk about that there are good faculty here, there'll be a lot of learning for me. I think that I have some experience, but I need to learn more. So in that way you could write about it. This is going to be very subjective and very specific for you. So you think about it. Why do you think you want to do this course? Maybe you could read about the course on the website, which is given tiss.edu. You could read about the course and connect it to yourself. Maybe the education that you have done in graduation, you could connect it to that. So you could say that if you have done commerce, and if you're applying for social entrepreneurship, you could say that I learned entrepreneurship in commerce and I was very much interested in entrepreneurship. So that is the why this is interesting, this field is interesting for me, and that is the reason why I want to work here. Or suppose you say that I did economics and I want to get into policy making or something like that. In graduation I did economics and I want to get into policy making, so you could do that. Or else you say that you come from rural area and you feel that there is a lot of difference, there's a lot of difference in rural and urban area, and you want to bridge the gap and you want to improve the lives of the people. So you could say that you want to do rural development. You feel that you have a lot of feelings for the environment and you want to work for the environment. Along with that, you want to look at the livelihoods of the people. Then you could say that, okay, I like this course, sustainable livelihoods and governance, and that is the reason why I'm applying to it. So this is something that you yourself have to write. I have given some important points, but after all, it is something that you will have to prepare. And another very important question is write your biographical sketch. So what is biographical sketch? Biographical sketch is basically it's like a statement of purpose. It should have everything about you. For example, what is your interest, what are your goals, what is your long-term what are your goals, long-term or short-term, what is your background. It could be locational background, it could be your educational background. Then what are your strengths? You could talk about that you're good at people management, you're good at helping people, you're generous, you're empathy, those kind of strengths that you can write about. Then you can talk about your achievements. For example, you have suppose you were you won some competitions, maybe in your graduation days you were part of your school students council, or you were part of NSS, or you were part of you won some competitions, so you were topper anywhere. So that those achievements you could highlight it here. You could also talk about your extracurriculars, so make sure that those extracurriculars are in line, or are relevant to this course, because it should not just say that I won awards in music, but I want to do rural development, so it won't make any sense, obviously. So try to have those extracurriculars, or whatever points you're writing, try to keep it relevant to the course. So just want to revise what all points that you have. This first thing is it is like a statement of purpose, a biographical sketch, and one thing that you could start off with is writing this biographical sketch is you could start with a quote. For example, I was applying for Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship from School of Rural Development TISS. So it was a very cliche quote. I wouldn't say it is a very extraordinary or unique thing, but I thought this could be relevant. So there's this quote by Mahatma Gandhi which says that India lives in the rural areas, and it talks about that way. So that I started off with, I quoted that, and then below that then I started off with about myself, where do I come from, what are my strengths, and what is my background, educational background, vocational background, and what are my goals, short-term goals and long-term goals, and how this course or how TISS will help me in achieving those goals. That is something that you can write. Then you can write about, if you want, you can talk about your failures, in a positive way, that this is something I failed at and this is how I accomplished it. So this shows that you are you learn from your mistakes, and you have patience, and you learn from your mistakes. And because this is important in social sector, because you may be making some mistakes but you improve from them, so that will add value to your answer. So that is broadly what you have to write in your biographical sketch. As it is said, it is they do not expect answers more than 250 words. Obviously they are not going to sit and count all those words, but make sure that it is around 250 words. Okay, and you should write about your interest, your hobby, anything that you feel is relevant to this course that would add advantage. So if you have worked with some NGOs, if you have worked with you have some work experience, or if you have done some volunteering, you could add that. You could, if there is someone in your family who is into social sector or something like that excuse me, so you could talk about that. Or if you have some prior knowledge about this, or anything that you feel is relevant, do put it in biographical sketch, but make sure it's very crisp. Don't add any irrelevant points. If possible, get it proofread by some of your seniors, or if you want, you could send it to us, we could do it for you. Make sure there's no grammatical errors. Obviously they're not going to check your grammar or English, and they're not seeing whether you can write good or not, but because this is a very professional document, you should try to avoid any mistakes in it. So that is the important question number 2 for me. These are the 2 most important questions. Really prepare well for them, because this will also help you. These questions, there will be a lot of questions from biographical sketch, and why are you interested in pursuing this course. Obviously there's no guarantee that there will be questions, but for me there were many questions, and based on that assumption, I think that there will be questions for you as well. And this is very important, and you need to, this will also, in case if there's no question, you could use them if they ask you, tell me about yourself. So there you could use your biographical sketch, and they might ask you, why are you interested in this course, or why you're interested in pursuing this from this campus. So you could use those lines from these biographical sketch and DAF form. Coming to the last part of DAF, there is this mentioned work done by you in the relevant field of study. So if suppose you have worked in some rural development, some NGOs, or you have worked with volunteered or something, you could write it here. You could write the name of the organization, of the duration, the jobs and your designation, and you could write the jobs and responsibilities, that roles and responsibilities, that you had in that organization. Same way you could write more about it if there are more learning. So I did some fellowship, I did some internships, so I wrote about all of that there. Then what are the languages, try to write, if you know 3 languages, do write like English. Along with English, if you know more languages, do write all of them. Obviously, it's not that if you are applying for Tuljapur campus and you should be knowing Marathi, it's nothing like that, because there are a lot of people from across the country. There are people from Northeast, from Kerala, there are people from West Bengal, there are people from Jammu and Kashmir, there are people from Madhya Pradesh, UP, Bihar, everywhere there are people. So there's nothing that you need to know Marathi. But in case if you know Marathi, it will be definitely, it will add value to you, because this course is, this state is in Maharashtra, and you'll be going for fieldworks in the rural areas of Maharashtra. So a few people may not be knowing Hindi, English, so you can speak to them in Marathi. But anyway, that's not a very major concern. I don't think that's a major concern it would be a major concern for any one of you. Next one is please indicate how will you meet your expenses during the period. So this is like for 2 years, the course master's program is for 2 years. So how you're going to get the funds and who is going to fund your education. If you say that it's self-funded, then you just write your own name, relation self, and amount expected. You think that you have made a savings of maybe, let's say, ₹1,00,000, so you can say around 8 to 10,000 rupees I'll be getting per month for 1 year. If you have ₹2,00,000, so you can say 8 to 10,000 rupees per month that you'll be getting, and period for which, so 2 years. If your mother is sponsoring you, or your father, your brother, you can write your relationship and how much money you expect from him, from or her, from every month, and for how many years you'll be getting. Suppose if you have worked somewhere or you're currently working, you could write about that. You could say that name of the employer. Suppose you have worked with Tata Trust, you could write about their work, which city where you're working there, what was your designation, everything is there in this. So number of years you have worked and gross salary. This you could write this, and these are some terms that whether your employer knows that you'll be leaving, and grant leaves and all of that. So that is only for the employers. So yeah, that's all in this DF application form. What I would want to say is this is a very important form. Do not bluff in this. Do not write something that you're not actually good at, or something. If you say that I really like reading books, but you never have read any books, so please don't write all of that. Make sure all your answers are very honest, they're correct grammatically. Try to proofread them, show it to your seniors, and start preparing it from today itself. Suppose today we are making this video on the 29th of May, and you have around 10 days if you're applying for 2020. If it starts in Mumbai and it starts on 8th June, so you have around 10 days. So you can really, you have a lot of time. Even if you start today, you can finish this DA form in time. And yeah, so that's all I think. I don't so this is very important, as I said. Please give in your efforts. In case if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, you're free to ask them to us in the comment section. I'll also be attaching our WhatsApp link, so you can join our group. And if there is anything that you want to know apart from DA form, we are really happy to help you. Just write it in the comment section or mail it to us. We'll work on it and we'll make a new video. Also, along with this, we are making few more videos because there is a lot of requests from your side, and just do show your support, and we wish you all the best, and we hope to see all of you in our campus soon. Thank you so much.